by miracle of sound.
Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 4 of Shadows of Self. We did chapters 14 through 18 this week. I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Mythic.
Hello.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Alright, so chapter 14, we start with Wax's point of view as he jumps through the mists at night. More men and women were out and about than normal because of how many were unemployed and thus going to the pubs, soothing parlors, and riding parlors. Nearby there were shouts coming from outside a Pathian sanctuary, which was a little terrace hut with only 2 chairs, one for you and one for Harmony. You weren't supposed to worship Harmony, but you were allowed to speak with him. Wax scares off the men throwing rocks while drinking, and then sees a terrace woman cowering inside the sanctuary. So what do you think about how the Pathian sanctuaries are compared to like the big survivorist churches?
Survivorist is better.
It also just, not gonna lie, it reminds me of where you confess a confession.
Yeah, the confessional.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they basically just have like a little tiny room compared to like the big fancy churches. Yeah, but Wax does make a comment though how he's like, it's kind of ironic that like the survivors kind of worship the mist, but they like hide inside away from it, whereas the Pathians like all like they have like a bunch of doors that are all open for the mist to come in. So the survivors are all hypocrites.
I thought you were gonna say they were all hippies.
No, I think that's the Pathians that are the hippies. So Wax tells the terrace woman that she should go home for the night, but she states that she lives in the loft above the sanctuary. Wax suggests that she goes to the village and bring along the other Pathian missionaries. He explains how someone pretended to be one of them and killed a survivorist priest. He then heads over to the man who's hiding nearby and scares the man enough to make him soil himself. Wax learns from the man that two more supposed Pathian missionaries had come into a pub and cursed the survivor and the pub's customers. So what do you think about Bleeder like having multiple kind of instances of like fake Pathians coming to like rile up the survivorists?
And they really want something to happen.
Yep.
For sure.
I was interested in the fact that she didn't just settle by like what she can do herself.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So Waxen heads to Ashweather Coach and Carriage, and begins searching for one that has the Set family crest scratched, meaning it was the one used by Bleeder earlier. The man running the place comes over to Wax, first giving him a look that made him think Wax was up to no good, but then he seems to recognize him and seems excited for some business. However, his face falls again when Wax says he's on constabulary business. So what do you think about the fact that apparently Set's son also survived Era 1, and apparently has had a bunch of descendants who technically would be distantly related to Wax, considering Wax is a descendant of Set's daughter.
He had a son?
Yeah, he had a son who would during the one time when remember when Vin and Zane went to go kill Set, his son threw himself in front of his dad because they thought he was an allomancer, but he wasn't, and the son was like, "I won't let you kill my crippled father."
Oh no. Yes, I remember actually.
You get very little about him, but that's one of his main scenes that you see him in. Yeah, so apparently he survived and he had descendants. He found a wife at some point. So Wax asks after the carriage drivers who are still out since the scratched carriage wasn't in the yard. He is off-put by how eagerly the man seems to want to help him and thinks the man seems anxious about something. Wax spots a client name on the list in Terrace that means secret, and that noted the client wanted to be driven around at liberty. Set says he can't know when the driver would be back, and that he can send a message to Wax when the driver gets back, but Wax isn't pleased with that option. Suddenly a woman who Wax identifies as a coin shot comes in, mentioning that Set needs more carriages out near the playhouse and near the pubs. Wax correctly guesses that the coinshot is also out to keep an eye on the drivers, and asks about the driver of carriage 16, whom the coinshot states is at a soothing parlor. Wax then guesses they have a rider and staff, and asks about them, which causes the coinshot to slip up and admit they do have one that they use to cause people to feel more tired so they want to hire a carriage. It's an illegal use of allomancy, although Wax wasn't worried about it at the moment. He instead asks for a description of the carriage driver and the name of any pets. So what do you think about businesses legally using riders to get more business?
I mean, all bad press is good press. If you know how to spin it.
Not gonna lie, I would too.
It's a good marketing strategy.
Yeah, but it's apparently illegal. It's against some sort of allomancy code or something.
I mean, every rule is meant to be broken, right?
Okay, but who wrote those allomancy codes and why are they there?
Exactly.
You're telling me somebody who was thieving wrote those codes against thieves, what?
Yes.
There is no honor among thieves, so...
Exactly. So we switch to Merassi's point of view as she looks at a bunch of weapons laid out in the constabulary office. A lot of other officers had also come in, several looking quite sleepy as if they had just been woken up. Marassi is handed a cup of strong tea, and she notices a lot of the male officers were staring at Melan. At first, Marassi wonders why Melan would wear such a tight outfit, but then realizes she also technically chose how her body was proportioned, so she likely likes the attention. Melan comments on how she is surprised that there are more women than Marassi here, as she always found humans to be quite sexist. Marassi asks if Kandra aren't, and Melan replies that they aren't because they can switch between male and female bodies so easily. Melan is also surprised to hear that Marassi is a survivorist, and also apparently didn't know about Kelsier taking on Preservation's power for a time before Ben took it. Apparently Melan had never read the words of founding that Harmony wrote, and left for the humans.
I just love the whole part of, I really should get around to reading that.
And she's like, you've been alive for 600 years! Yeah, what do you think about kind of Melan just like not giving a fuck apparently about what happened outside of what happened with her and Tensoon? She's like, oh yeah, I guess shit happened out there, whatever.
I like the fact that she said, "Oh, the longer you live, the more you procrastinate."
Yeah, because she's like, if you know you're immortal, you're like, well, I've got literally centuries to do this.
But also, at some point, it becomes irrelevant enough that you don't have to do it. So
Yeah, I can definitely see Darkness if he was a Kandra taking on this. You definitely would not have read the words founding.
nah,
You'd be like, I lived through it. It's good enough.
I probably live through whatever comes next.
I lived through it. I don't need to read about it.
So Marassi then goes into a room where some officers are doing research on the dam break that Marassi thinks might have been caused by Bleeder.
The dam
Marassi.
break.
Yeah, they broke the dam.
No, the dam break.
Darkness, could you see Ayanna Taylor-Joy playing Marassi, though?
I can see her playing Steris more.
Steris, really?
Yeah.
No, I don't see that for sure.
I feel like she's really gonna play, really awkward characters, and I feel like Steris is like a very awkward character.
I feel like she... No, because... Well, I mean, no. I feel like she would play this freaking Kandra better.
Melan. I can definitely see her playing as Melan as well.
Yeah.
So Marassi then goes into a... where was I? They also ask about...
Wait, Milan is the Kandra?
Yeah, Melan's...
Yeah.
Or do you mean Bleeder?
No, I was joking.
So the men here are friends of Reddy, so they don't like Marassi very much and complain about having to look into this and find nothing. They also ask about Melan, but Marassi pretends she's a constable from another office. Mikan then asks Marassi why she chose to join the constabulary when she had such good offers at the solicitor's office. But Marassi doesn't reply and just takes the file on the dam break. As Marassi goes back to her desk with the file, Melan offers several times to scare the people bothering Marassi. However, Marassi explains that the officers are like this to her because she skipped the early positions of the office that they all had to go through. Marassi also notes that she isn't close enough to nobility for people to not be able to resent and mock her openly. Marassi then goes through the file, which states that a farmer caused the dam break as he had wanted to sabotage another farmer. However, he had accidentally made too big of an explosion and caused the whole dam to fail. So yeah, what did you think about Marassi being fine with the other officers not liking her?
I mean, yeah. Why did they have to like her?
Also, they're not gonna lie, pretty irrelevant considering that they haven't done much to contribute to what they're doing. So.
Well, I mean, at least some of these guys did at least do a bunch of the research for Marassi, so she didn't have to.
Okay, but that's like, if she really had to, she would, because she could just use her bubble.
No, her bubble's the opposite. You'd have to use
You're right.
Wind's bubble.
What is not? I mean, technically, she could still use it to find out how it works. It just would be at a bad time because it's already happening.
Yeah. So Marassi, however, then notes that several witnesses mentioned the farmer acting erratically and mad, which makes her think it was Bleeder. It's also noted that the man had not known the names of his children during the trial, which was also suspicious. Melan, however, says Bleeder is amazing at being a Kandra and impersonating people, so she must have been in a rush if she didn't know the names of the children. What Melan does find more suspicious, though, was the man asking to get his execution over with quickly, and his grave being dug up a couple days later, meaning that Bleeder had played dead and allowed them to bury her before escaping. So what do you think about it, Bleeder's whole... what she did there with the whole, like, taking over this guy, making it seem kind of like an accident, and then just being like, yeah, just kill me, just get it over with. It's just like letting herself be buried alive.
Yeah, that's terrifying. The buried alive part.
Yeah, pretty. That's honestly is pretty scary, to be honest.
Then you have to dig your way back out.
Which is, interesting, because like, you know how hard that would be on a normal human standard.
I'm sure it sucked. She might have been able to like.
No, but like she can like manipulate.
That's what I was gonna say. Like I was gonna say, like I wonder if she could just like not like absorb one of her leg bones and just like use the bone as to like dig with or something.
Girl, she could probably make her muscles stronger.
Yeah, I think there's a
She could have probably just punched her way out.
I don't think she could be that strong. I think there's like a limit to what they can make. They have to like.
You're telling me they can't get like competitively like strength build up and stuff?
I mean, they
Like,
they
what?
could, but like I think there's still like limits. I don't think she could literally punch her way out of 6 feet of dirt.
It'll happen, you know. I don't understand. I don't see why they couldn't, cause like they can already like manipulate the way their stuff is in general. Why couldn't she just add more muscle mass?
I mean, as I said, like she could. I think there's like a limit though, based on like the mass of the Condra itself.
Aren't they like huge though?
And I don't think they're huge.
Cause the Conjure themselves are the big ass fucking blobs of like Miss Wraith.
Well, remember the
So, like,
Mithrace have like a lot of random bones in them, so like they're stretched, I think, thinner because they have a lot of stuff inside them to like displace their mass.
so stretch thin and add more muscle mass.
But yeah, I think like the muscles are made out of their mass. Like the things they absorb is just the bones usually. Sometimes they're able to eat some of that mass too if it's fresh bones, but like I think they still need. We know that they still need to eat and everything. Like they're not
Well,
like.
then at that point, well, the thing is that at that point, if it's based on the muscle mass, not the muscle mass, the like mass they have already, where the fuck does it go if they fucking gotta be a small ass creature?
I don't think have we seen them be a super small creature.
I mean, we've seen him be a dog.
Remember, it was
Yeah.
a wolf dog though. It was a very, very, very large dog. It was like probably like a 6 foot long dog.
That's not no dog.
It was a wolfhound. It was not like a poodle or like a corgi or something.
Oh, can you imagine Vin having a corgi?
I don't think it'd be very scary.
I mean, I don't know. Biting them ankles.
You should nominate.
Wow.
Yeah, you're an ankle biter yourself, so.
Anyways, chapter 15. We switch back to Wax's point of view as he walks up to the soothing parlor, thinking it was sloppy of him to not have brought his aluminum-lined hat. He goes inside and flashes his badge to a woman there, but she replies that his badge won't get him in for free. Instead, he gives a description of the carriage driver and asks if he's here somewhere. The woman leads him past several rooms, such as an all-white room, a completely dark room, and a room that looks like a terrace hut, until they find the carriage driver pacing in a room where it looks like he was supposed to be getting a massage. The soother that was in with him leaves the room, along with the woman, and Wax asks about the man's dog, whom the driver correctly states died a few years ago, which meant it probably wasn't Bleeder, unless she for some reason thought to ask about pets when interrogating him. Wax asks the driver what he had seen, and the man replies that he had seen himself. So what do you think about the soothing parlor?
God.
Oh my god, she's gonna turn into the dog.
Woof, woof.
Imagine.
But yeah, what do
They
you think?
sound like. They
Mhm.
sound like. Why do they sound like strip clubs to me?
Eh,
I think they're kind of more like drug dens. Like everyone's kind of like super out of it, like zoned out. And there's like
It's
incense
more like a-
burning everywhere.
What are they called? You know, where people go out to like just smoke weed with other people.
Hookah lounge?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably similar to a hookah lounge, except everyone's like extra out of it. And also, apparently, you get massages.
How much extra out of it can you
Hey,
be if there's no like?
First off, I don't know how many hookah lounges you've been to,
I've never
but
been to one.
I do know a few hookah lounges that would give you massages. So
Oh, really?
you gotta go
Interesting.
to the right ones.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what do you think of the soothing parlor, Mythic?
Sounds like somewhere I wanted to be honest.
I wonder how it's gonna be a bit of a different thought process on how to use a rioting thing, right? Or like a soothing thing.
I just expect a riding hall to be more like a gambling den. Like everyone's like high energy, like high stakes, like playing poker or like roulette or something.
Can
'Cause,
you
like-
imagine the benefits
No.
of using those powers in a sexual aspect?
Oh
Oh
god.
my god.
I'm sure Alria knew all about that.
Oh my god!
I'm
Actually,
sure
you know
she
what?
did.
She was a rioter. She literally
Breeze
used that
probably-
on Breeze to get him to sleep with
Breeze
her.
probably had the time of his life.
Had the time of my life.
No,
And I owe it all to you.
and you're rioting.
Anyways.
I'm just saying, like, if I were there, I would have opened a strip club, and it might have had services in the back.
I feel like the strip club
Right.
actually would be the rioting place. Strip clubs and gambling dens would be rioting places, and it's like, yeah, like the hookah lounges and stuff are the soothers.
I would hire soothers and the Peter people as bouncers.
I'm sure Peter arms are used as bouncers quite a bit. Bouncers
Yes,
and
that, the
bodyguards.
soothers, like, oh, why would they want to fight back if they don't have a reason to?
Yeah.
Also, give me all your money.
So we switched back to Merassi's point of view. She waits for Aradel to finish getting some reports from contractor coin shots about the people staying out later and congregating in pubs tonight. Aradel then tells some of his lieutenants to start closing down the pubs. Merassi then approaches him with a file about the dam break and tells him about how Bleeder dug herself out of the grave a couple days after. Aradel still wants the proof they're dealing with the Conjure though, and Merassi nods over to Melan. Aradel has the last couple constables leave, and Melan speaks in a divine way and shows off her translucent skin and emerald skeleton. She tells him that Palm is a Condra and that Melan will do her best to help take down Palm. She also tells Aradel that he snores too loudly. Aradel then takes Merassi off to the side, saying how weird the conversation was. He also thinks that the story comment was a metaphor of some kind, and Merassi just plays along. She also mentions that Aradel doesn't need to worry about taking down the Condra, just keeping the city from rioting while Wax hunts the Condra down himself. So what did you think about Melan's act for Aradel?
Ooh, oh my god.
Yeah, that was pretty good, to be honest.
That was valid. That was
I
cool.
love her little snore comment. She's like, oh my god, I had to watch him, and he snores like a fucking steam engine.
Something like that, for sure.
So Aradel then brings up that he'd like Merassi to report to him about what Wax is doing, as Wax's reports don't usually give much information. Merassi agrees, but says she isn't going to hide what she is doing from Wax, which Aradel is fine with. Aradel then tells Merassi to go ask the governor to start martial law, and then to go find out what information Wax has about Bleeder. Merassi then leaves, although she's worried that the main reason she got her job was because of her involvement with Wax. She meets back up with Melan, who jokes about the fact that she can pretend to be divine, and they then head off to the governor's mansion. So what do you think about Aradel asking Merassi to keep an eye on Wax for him?
Can't trust the man, you know?
Wait, who the fuck asked them to keep an eye on him?
The constable general, like the guy in charge
Right.
of the constabulary.
He asked who?
He asked Merassi to make
To keep an
reports
eye
on
on.
Wax.
Oh, right, I remember that. She was like, I don't know if I should be doing that.
Yeah, she agrees to it, but she's like, I'm gonna tell Wax that I'm doing this. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So, like, do you, like, think this is, like, an innocent thing of just, like, yeah, Wax literally isn't giving him, like, his reports properly, so he's like, I just need to know what's happening? Or do you think it's, like, no, he, like, wants to keep an eye on Wax for other reasons?
No, yeah, he seems the type to not give the reports.
Yeah.
So we switch back to Wax's point of view, as he sits in the coach with the driver, unwrapping the mallet that Bleeder had used to pound the spikes into the priest's eyes. The driver says how he'd been told by Bleeder not to look into the back of the carriage, but he had anyways and had seen Bleeder when she was switching forms. This is like nightmare fuel stuff that he saw.
The way he describes it, I was like, oh, I love the Conjure. The way he describes it, I was like, okay, I no longer want anything to do with Conjure. That is nightmare fuel.
There's a reason why they go change in different rooms. It's not a pretty process.
Wild.
Yeah, like they're basically like inside out, I think, almost at one point. It looks like it's nightmare fuel. But yeah, so he had seen Bleeder when she was.
I want to see an animatic of it though.
Oh my god, I wonder if there's anyone's drawn it. Bleeder changing forms.
Drawing. Okay. I wanted an animation.
I mean, I would too, but I don't think there's doesn't seem to be any art of it. I'm kind of sad about that.
You have any art of Bleeder?
There's an art of. I think this is supposed to be like the mask she's wearing? I think this is kind of like a style. This isn't probably like how she just looks wandering around, but this is apparently a drawing someone did of Bleeder.
Oh, now see, that's some nightmare fuel.
I feel like the actual what he described is worse than that.
Oh yeah, but see, if you saw that get into the back of your coach.
Here's I think what she supposedly looked like during the scene that's going to be coming up when she's like at the governor's house with the mask and the red coat.
Badass. Yeah, that's some badass shit right there.
Show off.
She is a show off. So yeah, so she was changing forms. Bleeder had then created a horrific version of the driver's face, and it makes the driver think that he had killed the priest, but Wax tells the man that he hadn't. Wax then notices a glowing powder on the edge of the priest.
Did I do it?
He's like, I'm obviously insane. Like, did I just do all this? Like, what's happened? Reality doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, Wax then notices a glowing powder on the edge of the priest robe that Bleeder had used and left back here along with the bones. He tries to ask the driver about it, but he doesn't know about the glowing powder at all. Wax then tries to assure the man that Bleeder isn't going to come after him and says that he's going after Bleeder himself. The man doesn't seem very reassured though, and says he would rather be mad than have Bleeder be a real creature. So what do you think about Bleeder using the man's own face to terrify him into complying with her demands? Because like I think he says at one point also like she like moved up and like slid her face against his as she was leaving.
Nightmare fuel.
Would I find that attractive?
Oh my god. Your butt
I'm just
bro.
look. I was thinking about it, and then I realized like
Ugh. You realize that you find things
maybe it's
horrifying
her. Maybe I
attractive?
like her.
You
I
like
like
the
the second
insane
picture.
Khandra?
Huh?
You like the insane Khandra?
Yeah, she's cool.
So for the start of our next chapter, we get a Broad Street page, which is just the like continuation down from I think the previous one we got. So it has the same ad about coin shots destroying like the lampposts and everything. It has a political comment about Ellendale spanking children representing the other cities in the basin. There's an ad for an opera about Vin and Elend called A Hero for All Ages. And then, underneath the picture of the masked person that we got to see last time, there's a little article blurb, which talks about a woman named Nacelle Sauvage from New Saran who had been lost in the mountains. She had found a perfect blue pool of water up around all the snowy mountains
I
and that,
wonder what that
that
is.
she had thought looked like paradise. However, she'd also
Yeah.
seen a hunched person at the edge of it, which is the masked person that is drawn, and Nacelle had ran for over an hour to get away from them. And then there's
Totally
also
Hoyd.
and there's also the continuation of Almancer Jack's story, where he's just talking to a guy at a party, but it's literally just rambling with nothing important mentioned. So what do you think of this pool of water in the mountains south of the Southern Roughs? What do you think that could be?
Yeah, exactly. First off, I like how you mentioned that it's the Alamaster Jack thing, and it's just
It's literally
nonsense.
nothing important.
It's nonsense, like every other Alamaster Jack thing.
It's literal nonsense. He's literally just rambling about like, ah, yes, the man's mustache, and like, I'm such a great person. Listen to all my stories, and I'm like, oh my god, dude.
You know, that sounds a lot like every other story.
But yeah. What do you think about the this perfect pool of water in the mountains south of the Southern Roughs?
Obviously, a perpendicularity.
Do you agree, Darkness? Is it a perpendicularity?
No, I said Derrida.
Derrida. So it
The
seems to be
perpendicularity.
it's very likely this is Harmony's perpendicularity, likely the only one, considering that the two shards are now one. So apparently it's quite a bit south of Ellendale in the mountains, which kind of makes sense. That's where apparently the perpendicularities used to be before the Lord Ruler moved them. If you remember the stories from the
Yes.
journal. And then also, do you think this masked person is a world hopper, or do you think there's like a group of people keeping watch over the perpendicularity, kind of like how the Elantrians had been like secretly watching over the perpendicularity in Elantris?
I think it's somebody watching it over it, but I mean, or it could be Hoyd.
I mean, Hoyd's apparently a coach driver
Yeah,
for
I noticed.
Wax. So,
Yeah, he's got a lot big. He's got a lot bigger of a role in this one.
oh yeah, he's got a great role, coach driver for all of one scene.
I mean, is he in any other? Like, he's barely in any other scenes in any other books.
Except for Stormlight.
Old man. Well, yes, but you know, we don't talk about Wit. Okay,
We don't talk about Wit. Okay.
we don't talk about Wit. Wit and Hoyd are two separate people
Okay,
At
sure
this
they
point.
are.
at this point. Like, just at this point, it's like his multi personalities. You know, instead of shards, he just has multiple personalities.
I see. But yeah, what do you think, Darkness? Do you think it's also, like Mythic, just kind of like a person watching over the perpendicularity, or do you think it's like someone coming out of the perpendicularity?
Well, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it's probably someone coming out.
Hmm. The one connection we didn't make about masked people before is in Stormlight. We do know there was a masked person who's part of the Ghostbloods who seems to like have a similar mask to this person, and you guys did correctly figure out that the Ghostbloods were from Scadrial, likely. So that's why I'm like, masked person could just be a Scadrian, secret Scadrian person watching over the perpendicularity, or are they actually just a world hopper and they just kind of like maybe the masked people aren't from Scadrial, they're just like related to the Ghostbloods in some way. Scadrial's the Mistborn planet.
Don't feel bad, Darkness. I also did not remember which one Scadrial was.
There's
Yeah,
a bunch of
This
planets.
is Scadrial. We are currently on Scadrial in the book.
Like,
when
I
I say
barely know my own solar system planets.
We got Cell, which is the Elantrian planet. We got
Oh, that's a green alien that tried to
I
create
just-
like a.
I just said perfect form.
We have
Yeah, I know.
Nalthus. Nalthus is the Warbreaker planet, and then we've got Roshar, which is the Stormlight planet. Scadrial is the Mistborn planet. We've got Threnody, which is the planet of
With the
Forest for
shadows.
Silence. Yeah, with all the shades and everything. And then we've got First of the Sun, which is the planet where Six of the Dusk is from.
Sand. Yeah, where the
No, and
sandbenders
then
are.
we have Taldane as the sand planet.
Damn it, sandbenders are best.
Taldane is the sand
When,
planet.
when is that book? When is that book?
That's just
He's
content.
actually gonna. That one's one of the ones that's gonna be coming out. Remember, didn't I give you a list of like all the
It's
ones
not
that are gonna
out?
be?
Wait, it's not out yet?
So remember,
The
he did a
fuck?
graphic novel, and he
Yeah.
didn't. So there's a graphic novel series. However, he wasn't super happy with how the graphic novels came out. So he's writing like a proper book for it. That he's gonna be putting out sometime in the next, I think, like 2 or 3 years. So I was considering just you guys, if you want. I think I've told you this before when we were doing Arcanum Unbounded. You can read the White Sand graphic novels in your own time if you want. We're not going to cover them in the podcast because we're going to cover the prose version of the book, which is going to be more canonically accurate.
Your face is canonically accurate.
So if you want more White
You're
Sand,
not
you can
wrong.
read that in your own time if you want to. I think there's like 3 books in it, 3 graphic novels.
Alright, so I gotta go find that now. I don't remember you telling me that, so.
I think it was a long time ago, and I think you were kind of a little less interested in White Sand at the time. But yeah, we're not doing the.
Sandbenders. It's a bunch of Garas, alright? You know,
It is. All right. So
Mhm.
we're gonna continue with chapter 16. So we continue with Wax's point of view as he watches over the governor's mansion. He had briefly stopped by his own manor to rebind his arm, take some painkillers, and get some more supplies. Wax had wandered the streets after and heard a lot of general anger, along with the anger at the governor and the Pathians. Wax felt split between trying to hunt down Bleeder and trying to protect the governor. Suddenly, Bleeder speaks into his mind, and Wax thinks it means she must be nearby. Bleeder talks about tiny parts of humans that humans have yet to discover, and Wax ignores this, asking where Bleeder is.
What ability in this book gives her the ability to telekinetically talk to people? Or telepathically talk to people?
Telepathically, yes.
Yeah, telepathically to talk to people.
I
Like-
believe she's probably.
Are you believing in the now?
I believe that she's possibly using some form of connection, which is the power we've kind of talked very loosely about. So I believe she's using a form of connection somehow, and that's how she's speaking to him. And I think we also.
I was sitting here trying to figure out how can you telepathically talk to people? What power gives that opportunity?
And I think we also talked about how because she's like more ruinous at the moment, she's like trying to access Ruin's powers, which is why she can't hear his thoughts. She can only speak to his mind. So that's why he has to speak out loud.
Don't call her ruinous.
Wait. Oh, but that's the thing, though, right? So, like, he speaks out loud, so she has to be close
Yes.
to him to hear it, right? I mean, or like, no, because there's power that gives you hearing.
Yeah,
right?
she might have because like we kind of see her in the window briefly. I wonder if she was using either whether it was the Ferrochemy or the Allomancy ability to hear better, like to increase her hearing, and then like because we see her like move from one side of the window to the other. I'm wondering if that's her taking out her spike and falling onto the speed spike to then zoom away afterwards. Like she might be using like tin to hear him, and then when she needs to escape from him, she switches spikes.
Or like he said, she could have just made her ears better.
Yeah, she also could have just made her ears better, but like we don't know how far from him she is the whole time. We just know she's in that window at one point.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Bleeder speaks into his mind, mentions like the things about like bacteria and like cells in the human body. Wax just ignores this, asking where Bleeder is. Bleeder replies that she's watching Wax and the governor, and that she'll have to kill the governor. She also states she's going to open the eyes of everyone, but she doesn't want to kill Wax and says she knows him well. So why do you think Bleeder doesn't want to kill Wax?
Because she knows that Harmony has a plan for him.
She has a crush.
That too.
I mean, even she knows Harmony has a plan for him. Like, she's apparently anti-Harmony right now, so.
Yeah, but I mean, Ruin was also anti. Well, I can't think of the other god's name, but
Preservation?
he still, he still worked with them in a way so that like to gain their own plan. Like that's what I'm thinking. I think he's just.
You think maybe she has like plans for him, like Harmony? She thinks like Harmony's plans for him somehow are going to work into her plans, and she's going to use them for her own means. Okay.
Just like the Ruin did with Vin.
Except he failed, and Preservation did it better.
I mean,
Because Preservation had used Ruin's plans for Vin for their own
Yeah.
uses.
Yeah, it was more of a preservation, or Ruin used preservation, and then preservation used Ruin. But yeah, sure.
They used each
I mean,
other
it was
back
like
and
a
forth, but
double-double.
Preservation came out on top.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, good guys always win in all these books.
Define
Well, I
good.
kind of hoping that. Yeah, what do you mean good?
Because I don't know, preservation was all good, you know.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I'm not using good, like good and evil, like
Yeah.
as two things.
They
I'm
were
saying like
the
hero comes out on top, right? The
they
person who
were
is
the
perceived in a book
protagonist.
as the person who is perceived as the hero always comes out on top.
Yeah, they were not the antagonist. The antagonist failed. Yeah, so at one
I mean,
point,
there are very few books or movies that the antagonist like wins in the end, right? Or like better yet, it's not so much that they win; it's more of the fact that like if they didn't, if the other way, if the people, the good supposed good people won, it wouldn't, the world would have been shittier.
well,
Like
that was literally
they
like
had to win.
the idea Brandon had for the start of Mistborn Era 1 was what happens if the antagonist won, and then how do things work out? Because the whole point of the basically what happened pre Mistborn Era 1 was the antagonist won, and now here's the word we're left with because of that.
Oh yeah, you're talking about with the Lord Ruler, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, no, he didn't win Ruin didn't win in the end.
No, yeah, pre Era 1, like that was like his idea was to start with the antagonist has previously won. What's happened
But
next?
even then, though, right? Like even then, it wasn't, the Lord Ruler wasn't really a bad person.
No.
Remember though, I didn't say evil. I said antagonist.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But even that's what I'm saying. He wasn't still though. He was antagonist to he was the antagonist because he was antagonizing our protagonist.
Yeah, because Alendi was the protagonist, and the protagonist died.
But what I'm saying is that like even then there was something bigger, more above them, right? So like in the end, they really didn't win. It was just a longer, drawn out war. I don't want to say it because then it ruins my book. But I was gonna say something that would go for mine. But like in general, like I'm trying to think of how to explain it without giving away my novel. So like
we can just
I'm gonna
move
think
on
about
if you can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna think about it. Because I can't think right now.
Alright. So Bleeder then dashes past Wax with ferrochemical speed, and Wax curses and chases after her. He hears her kill the two guards at the door of the governor's mansion before seeing her standing there in a red coat and wearing a black and white mask. Wax chases Bleeder into the governor's mansion, chasing her into the room that the safe was hidden under. Bleeder tells him his gun is useless, but he uses a powerful round to break the bone in her ankle and then shoots her in the eye as well. He continues to shoot her to distract her as he pulls out a syringe, but she uses her ferrochemical speed to escape him. So what did you think of Wax's first attempt to try and get the syringe into Bleeder?
Really thought out, and no humans would die in that process.
I want to see it go wrong.
You want to see him like stab someone with the syringe?
Yeah, like an actual person though.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, a human being. I
human
kind of want to see
being.
it too, to be honest. Yeah, a human being.
Bean.
The beanstalk.
So suddenly a bunch of the governor's bodyguards come out of the secret staircase to the safe room and begin firing, causing Wax to duck and hide. Bleeder easily takes down the men by running around and having the men fire at each other while also firing at them herself. Then she heads down the staircase towards the governor. Wax follows her down the stairs and sees that she had taken down more bodyguards. Bleeder begins using her ferrochemical speed again, but Wayne is hidden in the group of bodyguards and puts up a speed bubble so that Wax is at the same speed as Bleeder. Bleeder is shocked as Wax begins firing his guns, knowing the bullets would go wild as they left the bubble, so he just fires repeatedly and empties his guns out at Bleeder. Wax then pushes the syringe towards Bleeder, but because of the speed bubble it hits the doorframe next to Bleeder, who had taken a bunch of bullet shots. Bleeder ducks into the safe room after a moment, and after a moment she's healed and using her ferrochemical speed again. Wax ducks out of the speed bubble, feeling nauseous for a moment, and then following her. However, instead of finding the governor dead, Drim is bleeding on the floor, and the governor is trying to help the man. There's also an open door leading to a tunnel out of the safe room. So what do you think about Wax's second attempt to try and hit Bleeder with the syringe?
I mean, he's getting better and better. Eventually he'll get her.
I mean, he's totally getting desperate though.
I mean, he thought that she was going to go in and kill the governor there, so...
Does Bleeder know about the syringe?
I don't know if we know... I think it sounds like it's something the Conjure did develop themselves, so she may know about it. It depends how recently it's been developed, I think. And like she also was out and about on a lot of missions apparently. She apparently would like consistently get Harmony to send her out. So it depends how much she was paying attention to what the other Conjure were doing. I think there's a chance she knows about it, but also a chance that she doesn't. Also, what do you think about the fact that Wayne was able to help Wax fight against Bleeder's ferrochemical speed by using his speed bubble?
Yeah, that's just isn't that just the way they've been fighting constantly?
Well, I mean, it kind of was a different way because it was like they were going up against someone with speed, so she wasn't expecting Wax to be able to like be at the same speed as her.
They're at the same speed.
Yeah, because he slowed her down.
No, he didn't slow her down. He sped
No.
Wax up so that he was the same speed
Yeah.
as her.
Okay. Yeah. True.
That's what I'm saying though. Like,
Yeah.
even though they're different powers, they're still at the same speed.
Yeah, apparently ferrochemical speed lets you move as fast as a speed bubble.
So Ferrichem is way better at that than the bubble stuff, though.
Well, it depends what you need to do.
But it can
So if you
only.
need-
Well, that's right, because you can only do it for yourself with the Ferrichem.
Yeah, you can't do it with multiple people. If you need like multiple people to be sped up for like a stationary area.
Oh my god, they're a fucking support class.
Wayne's definitely a support class. He's a support tank because he's also a healer. He heals himself, so he can just tank a bunch of
Bruh.
damage.
No wonder he's like a little bottom bitch for
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my god.
gunsmith lady.
Wax's DPS.
I love the way that they explain how she loves him. Like, yeah, of course she wants to kill me. She's trying to make me better.
That's him being delusional.
Which
I love
it's, It's it's fucking.
He's 100% delusional, but I like how he also tells me like he's taken as if it actually is like with him.
Wait, she's not?
No. Remember, I think Wax theorizes she might not even like men in any way. She might be a lesbian.
Oh, that's not very nice of him. How are you just gonna assume shit?
I don't know. I mean, they're friends, kind of.
Oh, so if you're friends with someone, you can totally assume shit from it. Okay.
Well, I'm assuming like he like knows her well enough to be like.
I didn't know
always
that's how you know. I didn't know that's how you treat your friends when they.
just
That's
coughing
crazy.
to death here.
I wonder what you assume about me. That's crazy.
I also assume you're a little bottom bitch. So.
That's
Agree.
crazy.
Agree. I think you're definitely a bottom bitch. So.
Anyways, moving on.
It's just like you assumed I'd be a fucking. I would look like Ed. That's great.
I did.
That's
I thought you
awesome.
would
Honestly,
look
yeah.
Ed. Right? Don't
Not
Ed
gonna
and Darkness
lie,
look like
not gonna
opposite
lie,
of?
Yeah. Well,
Don't they
no,
look-
no. I didn't think Darkness would look like Ed, but I can see how you would think that.
Oh my god,
Definitely puts that
speaking
mannerism.
of, sub out next Sunday.
Oh
Oh,
god,
no.
here we go. Work? You gotta work
Yeah.
on next Sunday? Oh, wonderful.
I
Guess
go
we're
down-
doing it again Saturday.
I think I work Saturday too.
Are you
Oh
fucking
god,
kidding me?
okay. Guess we're doing it on Thursday since we don't play D&D anymore.
I do play D&D. People just been sick, including myself.
Yeah,
That's so
whatever.
disappointing. Like, why would you guys get sick when I want to play D&D?
I know.
You've been sick too.
Okay,
I
but
mean-
I haven't missed D&D.
Exactly. I haven't missed D&D either.
I mean, you slept through D. Would have been sleeping through D&D anyways, Mythic.
And even if I'm sick, I still attend podcasts.
But I didn't because you said no.
I'm just saying
So-
you would have slept through it.
You're right. I would sleep
So
at
that
8:30
you
thinking
can't
it
go
was
after
Wednesday.
me.
I literally thought it was Wednesday. It was like, oh, I'm
I
gonna
can
go to
tell.
bed.
Like, when you meet tomorrow.
Yeah. I was like, hey, I didn't work on Monday, so it was the weekend felt, the same.
Oh my god, do I work Saturday? Do I work Saturday?
Oh, that sucks. Back to what we were doing now, though.
Anyways, so Wayne comes into the room and confirms that Drim is dead before Wax sends Wayne upstairs to check on the other bodyguards. Wax decides not to follow Bleeder because he doesn't want to leave the governor alone. He isn't sure if Bleeder had just wanted to scare the governor or if she had left him alive because she was about to run out of her ferrochemical speed and needed to escape. Wax also uses the passphrases that they had agreed upon to confirm that Bleeder hadn't somehow become innate. Wax tries to convince Innate to leave the city, but Innate insists that he needs to stop the riots from happening and talk to the people in his cabinet. Innate tells Wax to stop Bleeder, and Wax glances at the syringe on the floor. He uses the syringe on Drim's body just in case, but isn't surprised when it does nothing. Wax wonders again why Bleeder didn't kill Innate as Wayne comes back and mentions that two of the bodyguards may survive. Wax then wanders down the tunnel and finds Bleeder's discarded red coat and a crude drawing on the wall of a man, showing red on his eyes and mouth. It also had written a note that says, I rip out his tongue to stop the lies. I rip out his eyes to hide from his gaze. You will be free. So why do you think Bleeder hasn't killed the governor yet?
They need them. It's the only reason they don't kill anybody. You have to need them.
Do you agree, Darkness? Do you think she needs the governor for something? That's why she hasn't killed him yet?
Yeah, that would make sense actually.
Also, what do you think about her little poem?
Yeah, could have been better. You've had how long? You've lived for how long? And that's the poem. Definitely could have been better. Honestly, I think they just use ChatGPT.
Oh no. Gotta be careful they don't get expelled.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. So chapter 17. We switch to Wayne's point of view as he goes into the governor's fancy washroom, thinking that rich people like to use fancy words for things so they know who the lesser people are that they want to oppress. He steals a towel from the washroom on his way out. Wax then comes out to see the governor meeting with important people, and Wax sends a messenger off to give a letter to Renette. Wayne states that he would have sent the letter to Renette himself, but Wax says that Renette would have just shot Wayne, and he tries to tell Wayne that Renette does not like him, but Wayne just changes the subject. So what do you think Wax has requested from Renette?
Explicit services.
No, that would have been Wayne if Wayne was sending the message. What do you think Wax
Oh my
asked of
god,
her?
she should have made grenades. I want that, so I'm gonna stick with that. Can you imagine?
Grenades with like the syringe liquid in it, so it just like gets all over her. Or maybe acid grenades.
That'd be awesome! That'd work out so well. And then if it hits a bystander, oh well.
What do you think that Wax is trying to get from Renette, Mythic?
Information. Wait. Which one is Renette? Renette's
Renette's
the one
the
that makes
gun
the
maker.
weapons, right?
Yeah, she's the one
Yeah,
that makes the
yeah. Oh.
weapons.
Just wants a weapon or some shit, Something like, that can capture Bleeder.
Uh,
Or at least tell who she is.
He just asked for a cage.
Wayne mentions seeing Marassi, and Wax says that she and Milan had arrived to tell the governor that Aridel wanted to declare martial law. Wax brings up how the poem Bleeder wrote matches the priest and Innate's brothers' deaths, and he says he thinks it's unfinished and there are more to be killed. Wax also thinks that Bleeder was the marksman that he took down previously. Wayne then takes a moment to get some sleep as Wax mentions wanting to sketch out everything to try and find out Bleeder's plans. However, he gets up suddenly when he hears a maid with food going to the governor's meeting. So what other acts of mutilation do you think Bleeder will cause to people other than apparently spiking their eyes and cutting out their tongue?
Honestly, why stop there? Keep going.
Right, spike their tongue and cut out their eyes.
Well,
I
no,
see.
I mean, you gotta spike the eyes, Gotta make them the whatever people, so...
The
Inquisitors?
tongue piercing.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh my god, Marsh is gonna have so many new friends.
Marsh needs some friends, okay? That man is lonely.
He probably is.
He's not only,
He's-
he's dead.
he's-
He gets sent people.
He's not dead!
No, he's a death.
No, he's
death.
dead.
He is the Grim Reaper.
He is the Reaper of
Which
the
is
Grim.
awesome. And I would literally Sudoku just to meet him.
Sudoku.
Yeah, Sudoku.
Uh,
Commit Sudoku?
Waxon says he needs to go find Bleeder, and he's going to leave Wayne in charge of Innate. He also has Milan changing into the body of one of the dead guards to help Wayne out. Milan makes some
Oh,
jokes
God.
about hating being
Please
short.
don't put it in the back of a carriage.
Milan makes some jokes about hating being short, and that the woman had tasted bad, but stops when she notices Wayne and Wax looking horrified by it. Wax asks if Bleeder would also have taken half an hour to change bodies, but Milan replies that the older Khandra can take less than 10 minutes, even with bodies they haven't used before. Milan calls Wayne cute as he comments on trying to eat a lot quickly, which surprises Wayne and makes him reply that he's taken. Milan then mentions that hair is the hardest for
Taken
Khandra.
by who?
He's assuming by Renette, but I don't think Renette would agree.
I think Renette would agree.
I don't think
If you gave her truth serum, I think she'd agree. I think she has a deep-seated love for Wayne, and only Wayne can see it because it's that deep.
It
Okay.
must be real deep.
Well, no, let's think of this logically, right? Wayne is very good at imitating people and their mannerisms, right?
Mhm.
So, which means he has to be observant to things that other people probably don't see.
So you think he's seen like some like
He's
very
seeing
slight
something
body
that nobody else
language?
does.
And he's not
Something
just
that nobody
delusional?
else sees. I agree. How do you spell her name, by the way?
Renette?
Yeah. Okay. That's not how I expected it. Okay.
So Milan then mentions that hair is the hardest for Khandra as they can't make it themselves, that there is so much small body hair that you have to place, and that you could maybe spot a Khandra by the lack of arm or leg hair if they were in a rush. Which, that's definitely the type of hair that Wayne was thinking about.
But could you imagine that, though, in this day and age, right now? Because everybody shaves their fucking
That's what
leg
I was
hair.
thinking too. Because I was like, what did they do? What did they just shave?
Like, so it would be even harder to tell. I mean, like, maybe arm hair, but like even I mean, I know women even that shave their arm hair, so like it's crazy.
Or imagine just like they just imitate like a cancer patient and they don't have hair at all.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
They can get away with it. They can get away with just not having body hair.
Well, first off, there are people that shave their heads anyways without having cancer, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I was saying like you wouldn't even have like any stubble, right? Because like that just makes it fully like it fucks you up so bad, the chemo and everything. So
Yeah, true.
You don't gotta worry about eyebrows. You don't gotta worry about eyelashes. But yeah, so what do you think about the fact that Contra could potentially be spotted by a lack of like arm or leg hair?
Like I said, that's if it works, it works.
So Wax then shows Meilon some of the glowing powder that he had found on some of Bleeder's clothes, and Meilon says it's only found in the Contra homeland, which is no longer where they all live and is more of a sanctuary and place to keep relics. Wax mentions
Also, real quick before we continue, I keep asking you these names because I write notes.
Yes.
Okay, when I had that theory, Renette and Wayne are going to be together. I put that down so that when it comes true, I can be like, "Look, I said that." I just wanted to make that clear. Also, I love the name of the sign that I just put in there.
I'm hoping she.
I'm assuming it's a Welsh town.
I don't even know. It's just the longest name of a town, and I don't know how to say it. So, go on. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes. But yeah, so they say that the Contra no longer live in the homeland. Wax mentions visiting to check for Bleeder, and Meilon gets agreement from Harmony before telling Wax about an entrance to it from the tombs. Suddenly, a footman arrives and says that Wax's coach was here. Wayne was confused until he realizes who Wax is meeting up with. Wax then asks Meilon if she's ever heard of a group called the Set. So what do you think about Bleeder? Why do you think Bleeder was in the Contra homeland?
I mean, they're Contra. Of course, they're in the homeland.
Well, I mean, Meilon had been saying that they don't live there anymore.
But we know why they were there, right?
Do we?
Was it not
Darkness?
to get that thing
What thing?
that he found?
The powder?
Yeah.
Well, it was just like on the edge of her robe. Like it sounds like she it got on her robe by accident.
Yeah.
Like she didn't have like a whole jar of it that they found or something.
Oh, maybe I misunderstood that.
Yeah. Cough louder, please.
Cause like when he pulled up with the
Sorry.
thing and he was like, "What is this?" and she was like, "Oh, you find that in the fucking homeland." I thought it was like.
No, he just like scraped it off into like a little vial to show her. Yeah, so like we don't know why she was in the Contra homeland.
She's getting more spikes, obviously.
Also, what do you think about the fact that the Contra now seem to live mostly normal lives in society and no longer hide away in the homeland?
I love it. I feel like that's where they were meant to be.
We figured that's what they were doing now, right? Because you had asked us a question about it earlier.
Yeah, I don't think we didn't know for sure what they'd been doing, but
no, but you had asked us where if the Contra were still a thing, and I think
they were
me and Darkness kind of came to a consensus that they could just blend in with society. So that's probably what they're doing, if anything, if they still exist.
Which we know they don't.
Oh yeah, they definitely don't exist.
Totally.
Yeah, apparently they just like hang out at pubs now. They're like, oh yeah, hey, how's it going?
Oh my god, they're Irish.
Considering they tend to use true bodies now, which obviously they wouldn't have hair, I wonder if they like sneak into barber shops in the middle of the night and like steal like cut hair to use for their bodies or something.
Ew.
Because they need to get hair from somewhere if they're not going to go around completely bald.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
If, and this is more of like an if situation, not a like I think it's ever gonna happen. Actually, I do kind of think it's gonna, but in a different context.
Yep.
So if Renette saw Wayne die, do you think that they would keep the same like animosity towards them, or do you think that they would be more empathetic towards the death and like actually care?
So like,
and this is from your knowledge, right? Like you don't have to tell me if he dies or if she would see it or any of that. What you would think with all of the knowledge you have of the cosmos.
All of the knowledge. Because I read these further books because that gives away what.
Oh, okay. So it would give away something.
It would give, well, because you had a theory they're going to get together, so it gives away whether I think that like she actually has feelings for him or not, right? Because like depending on her
that's not what
reaction.
I'm asking. Do you think she would mourn his death? Right? Like not I have a feeling for him.
I do think she would mourn his death.
She would actually care. Okay. Just curious, because she seems like that person. She seems like a person that would be like very like standoffish, right? And like I don't really care about anybody kind of idea. So like I was wondering if like if you think that that's a persona, or if she legitimately has a soft side.
I will say that considering she actually lets him into her house, even though she has shot him before, the fact that she actually lets him into her house means that she at least considers him like kind of a friend. I won't say if she has further feelings for him or not, but I say she considers him at least partially a friend and that she would mourn his death. But how far the feelings go of friend of a friend type thing versus like full on like I actually have like love for this man, like I won't say how far.
Okay.
But she doesn't actually, I don't think straight up hate him.
Yeah, because I think Wayne dies. I don't know if it's in this book, whatever. I think he's going to die before we get to the next series.
I said that Renette dies.
You think Renette dies? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
And
I
then
want that to
Wayne
happen.
shows up to to next to her.
Wayne would be pretty heartbroken if Renette died.
Oh yeah, it's his love. What are you talking about?
Love of his
They're
life.
together in his eyes. Yeah, in his eyes, they're together
Yeah,
already.
no, in his eyes, yeah, he's taken.
Yeah, exactly.
So we switch to Wax's point of view as he gets into the coach where his uncle is waiting for him. He had been exchanging letters with his uncle for a bit, although he hadn't been able to figure out how his uncle's men were getting the letters to and from him. Edward seems happy to see Wax, although Wax doesn't share the enthusiasm. The carriage begins moving, and Edward notes about the people angry out in the streets, and how, although the government isn't like the Lord Ruler, people could still be riled up like back then. Edward also compares himself to Kelsier and his crew. So do you agree that the set is similar to Kelsier and his crew, or no?
Wait, who is?
Edward, like the uncle, the evil uncle, is comparing himself to
Wait.
Kelsier.
No, fuck him. Kelsier's a god. This dude's just a fucking peasant.
Well, he's comparing himself to Kelsier when Kelsier was alive.
He's a god. Even at that time, he was a god. All right. Like, what has this that just aggravates me. What has this uncle done that he thinks he could compare himself to the guy who literally stood up to what they thought was a god?
Also, Kelsier fucking hated nobles, and it's like the set is full of like
Right.
rich people, as far as we know. So like, why would he ever think that Kelsier would like him? It's like, whether you think you're doing something similar to Kelsier, Kelsier would definitely hate the uncle just because he's a rich noble.
But like, even just in general, though, how do you compare yourself to a? I mean, and they have the stories. To them, I'm sure it's like myth and story. But
they
like,
definitely have the stories, and like that's what Edward like references here. He's like, yeah, Kelsier before he went after the Lord Ruler, like I feel like I'm exactly like Kelsier was.
Oh my god!
Like he
Like
literally
what?
says that.
Oh my god, man! Ugh.
He's like,
I
Kelsier
just-
was a thief. He was a miscreant.
Yes, and that makes you what? Like, this dude is delusional. More delusional than Wayne.
He's pretty delusional, yeah. What do you think, Darkness? Do you think Edward and Kelsier same person, basically? Basically the same.
Absolutely not.
No, you don't think they're just like they're basically brothers, basically the same person.
I want to see now. I want to see the two of them standing back to back with the pistol finger thing or whatever. But
Have I sent you guys a picture of Edward and Ladrine before?
I don't think so. Then again, I don't remember who you send us. So
This is apparently
honestly, I feel like
Wax's
we need
uncle.
to like. He's a pretty good looking guy in comparison. How old is this dude?
Considering Wax is, I think, like, what, late 30s or early 40s or something, this guy's probably going to be at least in his 50s, if not 60s.
Oh, that's pretty good for 50, 60. So now that makes more sense. That one I can see. Top one maybe not as much. I can definitely see this.
Maybe the top one's more like when Wax was younger. That's what he looked like.
Maybe, yeah. Get a couple pounds on him. Yeah. That definitely feels more like what I picture.
Yeah. So Wax eventually changes the subject to Bleeder, mentioning that she could be a common enemy to them as Bleeder wants to take down the city that Edward wants to rule. Edward, however, mentions that Wax going after the set has given them few options for allies, meaning that several members of the set want change in the city and are willing to work with Bleeder and ride the storm of what she's doing. Edward calls Wax short-sighted, but that he loves him, which is why he still hasn't had him killed yet. He states that the set are the thieves that will one day be called heroes and save the world. Edward then states
the way that he explains himself, right? Like he thinks he's Kelsier. I can totally see him 100% believing. But like you said, I'm pretty sure the set is a bunch of nobles. It's probably not going to be anywhere close to what he thinks.
As far as we know, at least like a lot of the top guys are like nobles similar to Wax's like uncle, where like they all basically did like, remember they were doing like financial fraud and like insurance fraud. It's like there's crimes. Definitely not what like Kelsier was doing. They're doing like super white collared crimes compared to Kelsier, who was like literally like actively going and like stealing from like Kelsier was kind of Robin Hooding, except not really helping the poor until like the actual books. Like in his past, I don't think he was helping the poor much, but he kind of became like a Robin Hood style figure. This guy is not a Robin Hood style figure.
No, he's honestly probably the reverse.
Yeah. But yeah, so Edward then states that he's only keeping Wax's sister as a bargaining chip against Wax for the future, and claims that Wax would have been the type of person in the olden days to work under the Lord Ruler and have gone against the survivors' crew. The carriage then stops, and Edward tells Wax that he hopes to see him for the summer and they can have a stuffed pig in his honor. Wax growls and leaves the carriage. So what do you think the set's end goals are if Edward somehow thinks that they're going to change or save the world?
Honestly, not good. But the fact that he said that Wax would follow the Lord Ruler just irritates the shit out of me. Honestly, I feel like this dude would follow the Lord Ruler before Wax did.
Honestly, if anything, I feel like Wax would have been like one of the guys supporting Elend. Because
Right?
like Wax loves law, but he likes not like tyranny. Like he definitely wouldn't be pro Lord Ruler. He'd be pro helping the people, but also keeping the law. So he wouldn't be pro Lord Ruler or pro Kelsier. He would have been pro Elend for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's just crazy.
I could definitely see if Wax was like born a noble in Era 1, him being in like Elend's little like philosophy group of like how do we make the world better.
Right? Oh my god, yeah. I can see that too, to be honest.
What do you think, Darkness? What do you think the set's end goals are if Edward thinks they're going to change or save the world?
I don't even know, honestly, because it's not like he says. It's not like he's against what's happening right now with Bleeder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it's not to maintain like a stable, everything for the
Well, I don't
city.
think he's pro-bleeder. It sounds like they are more like, we don't have a lot of allies. If, like, the chaos this brings gives us a good chance to, like, put in a government that, like, we can bribe or we can control.
But the thing is, he didn't say that he wouldn't just let it happen, though. So he made it sound more in a way of like, oh, this is happening right now. It's not like how I would have done it, but since it's happening, I'm gonna take advantage of it because
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was
like,
meaning.
it's good for me.
Yeah, because I think, like, him and his group, obviously, based on that, aren't pro the current government. Sorry, my voice died there. So yeah, they're obviously not pro like the current government, whether that's because they can't bribe innate for whatever reason, or like just because they don't like how things are run in certain regards. But yeah, he's obviously anti the current governor, but also not 100% pro anarchy. Any other thoughts, Darkness?
No, that's pretty much it.
Switch to, so our final chapter, chapter 18, we switch to Merassi's point of view as she thinks about how much she hates politicians and attorneys. She currently was in the governor's office, standing off to the side as she listened and made notes. God damn it. Listened and made notes about all the opinions the people around the governor had about the situation. The Minister of Sanitation thinks that all of the riots will die down, even though people are looting already. The Minister of Trade and the Secretary of Education, however, disagree. The Minister of Public Affairs thinks the governor's opponent in the next election could be behind all of this, even though the governor had already explained that a conjurer was behind it all. It didn't seem like anyone else believed them, though. Eventually, the governor had all of them except for Marassi leave the room so that he could think things through. The governor signs a writ for martial law and to put Aradel in charge of all of the Ogdens for the moment, which Marassi knows will make the other constable generals upset. So what do you think about all of the, like, cabinet of the governor being like, yeah, I don't care what you say, governor, there's not a conjurer behind this. It's probably just your, like, the Leckles who are, like, your political opponents.
I mean, think about it from their perspective, though, right? Like, the Conjurer are a myth. You'd have to literally show them come, like they'd have to come in and like change, and then you would just have another of the cart people where they're just absolutely horrified.
I mean, she could just go transparent again. She doesn't have to fully, like, change in front of them.
Or Rue, but I think the changing thing would make it better.
Changing things is just gonna give people nightmares and want to kill all the Conjure again. That's why the Conjure got fucking, like, hunted down by people in the past.
You know, if they did have that point, right, where they like went back to that, oh, we have to hunt all the. Don't you think they would come up with a better like of the injection thing, one that doesn't kill human beings?
Oh yeah, but that'd be one, yeah, like that humans would.
Yeah, that's what I'm
figure
saying.
out.
Like then you'd be able to find the bleeder easier.
I don't think they'd be able to do it in time though before the city goes to shit, considering it's currently happening.
I feel like we underestimate humanity.
Well, considering they haven't even invented the radio yet.
Yeah, I know. And Harmony thought that's what was going to happen too. So
Yeah, he's like, why? You guys don't even have the radio. We're actually just like, what the fuck is a radio?
it's like saying you don't even have a car, and then they're like, what's a car?
They also said they don't have airplanes yet, and they should.
What? Like, how does this man know these things? They don't exist. How do you know about it?
As I said, you can see into the future.
True, but god damn.
So the governor is insisting he wants to take the talk to the rioting people, and says to allow people to congregate here, but to stop the looting and give him some constables to keep the peace at his mansion while he tries to talk to the people. The governor is then called away, and Marassi heads out to get a carriage and get the martial law approved to Aradel, noting Wayne as she walks by. Marassi makes her way down to the safe room after talking to someone about getting a carriage and finds copies of the Words of Founding, which she takes out and goes over the nights that the riots happened in Luthadel. She thinks that Bleeder is trying to recreate that night, and that the people will want someone who spoke like Ellen Venture, but the governor is definitely not like Ellen Venture. She then notices some scuffed books and finds a key hidden in one of them. She finds a hidden safe under the floor, which the key opens. Inside are a few things, such as cigars and a bunch of money. However, there's also letters with multiple noble houses that proves the corruption that Marassi had been suspecting. So why do you think Bleeder is trying to recreate the riots in Luthadel?
Create anarchy. Bring a ruin back.
That is insane, actually, because you might be right.
It's insane because I might be right. Yeah, I know. It's pretty insane when I'm right. All our Patreons go crazy.
They do. They're like Mythic's cheating somehow. I've had one of them say that they thought you were reading ahead. I'm like, no, Mythic is not reading ahead.
I've done it a couple times, but honestly, I don't remember most of the time. By the time I barely remember these chapters. Even if I read ahead, I mean, like, it'd have to literally impact into my brain.
And I mean, like, as I've said before, like, I think just reading a book like this way and really, like, analyzing it like we do, you just catch on to the foreshadowing a lot more than you do just reading through a book as a whole. Which is, like, so it's not that surprising that you guys catch on to things sometimes, because it's like he does foreshadowing. Like, part of it is that you're supposed to like look back and be able to be like, oh shit, this and this all led up to it. So when you're really analyzing the book, sometimes you catch on to that stuff.
Yeah, before you get to that point, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is crazy though.
So Marassi then takes the letters, although she worries that exposing this corruption would be doing exactly what Bleeder wanted. She also thinks that Innate could easily claim that letters were planted by Bleeder, and he would know she took them since the servants saw her go down into the safe room. However, she needed to try anyways. So do you think that Marassi bringing out the governor's corruption is going to be a good or bad thing considering the current state of Elendel?
I think it's going to be a terrible idea. Here we are.
I agree, but wait, this is the governor that they're trying to protect, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what Bleeder was waiting for.
You think she wants him to be like fully outed before she kills him?
Yeah.
Good theory.
So we switch back to Wax's point of view as he flies through the air over the city, not heading directly for the Contra homeland as he wanted time to think. He notes that people are still out at the pubs even though it's 2 a.m. He can't help but think that Harmony could have killed Bleeder.
Is that really a shocking thing?
No, I wrote that wrong.
Yes, you did, because I was like, what?
Yeah, like that is... What the fuck did I write here? Oh, he can't help but... I meant to write about... He can't help but think that Harmony could have stopped Lessie from being killed. That's what I was meant to be talking about. What the fuck did I write here? And then it felt more... Then it felt more personal now that he had spoken directly to Harmony. He didn't have his earring in right now, though, so he wasn't able to speak to him at the moment. Wax looks out at Elendel, thinking that freedom to him wasn't freedom from responsibility, but the freedom to be able to do what was right without having to think about if it also might be wrong. He called himself a coward and then headed back off into the night. So, do you think Harmony should have stepped in to save Lessie, considering he knew he was going to be using Wax for his own purposes?
No.
If it wouldn't have kept him there, yes. But the thing is, it sounds like what we said, was actually happening. Where it was a necessary thing to keep him away from, the refs. For the bigger purpose of it all.
I mean, I feel like if, Harmony had been like, hey, somehow, stopped the bullet from hitting Lessie, and had been like, hey, I did that! Hi, I'm God, I did that! I really need you to do this thing for me? Can you do that since I saved the life of your wife? I don't know, Wax might have been okay with that.
Wouldn't that count as worshipping because you're doing what God is asking you to do?
I mean, he's still kind of doing that, though, right now.
Yes, but I don't know. He's trying to do it in a less direct way.
The thing is, Wax is doing it more because he would do it regardless, and he's asking for help from Harmony rather than Harmony asking for help from him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in all honesty, here's the thing. What's the stake Harmony even has in this? He just creates more life. What?
A 32-ounce one.
Couldn't he? Yeah, funny. Couldn't he just basically wipe humanity and then just be like, all right, we start over?
I mean, he could, but I think he likes humanity. He likes seeing the descendants of his friends. He likes having the terrorist people around. I think he would prefer not to have humanity destroyed. If he can help it.
It's kind of disappointing.
He's a god.
He's got his favorites. He doesn't want to have to start from scratch.
He doesn't. He did it already. He has the favorites.
He says he shouldn't play favorites. He doesn't say he doesn't have any. He says he shouldn't play favorites. There's a difference.
We all know he plays
You're-
favorites.
You're different.
So overview questions.
Mhm.
What other chaos do you think may happen before the end of the book?
Ruin. Imagine.
Ruin. Wait, how close are we to the end of the book?
Next episode is our last episode.
Okay, yeah, then
We are finishing it.
Why would you tell me that?
the world
Are all
is
those
gonna go
women
to
still
shit.
gone, by the way? Are all
Most-
those women still gone?
Yes, all the women are still missing except for Steris.
Why are people not remembering this?
I think
'cause
Wax
nobody
says
cares
somewhere
about
at the
women.
beginning of the book that like he was still trying to figure that out, but like he's not been having a lot of luck with it.
Because he
Yeah,
hasn't
nope.
been looking. Look at this.
Nobody cares about women. I'm telling you, man. Like this isn't whatever the other place is, you know.
It's like an intermission sort of situation.
Intermission.
The set has
They're
not been the
focusing
main
on-
bad guy in this book.
That's what I'm saying. Like they're having a little break, you know, and then they're gonna come back full force, and it's gonna be worse than it was before because now they had to deal with this thing.
They're gonna come back and all the women are already gonna be like on their second pregnancy by the time they find them.
You know, they're probably gonna have their children are probably gonna have children by then.
But the question was, what other chaos do you think may happen before the end of the book?
Nice. I don't know. There's a lot that can happen. I definitely feel like the governor's thing's gonna get exposed, and then he's gonna get killed.
You think
And
it's gonna be like full on riots?
I'm hoping that there's a faction that sees Bleeder as in the right, and I'm gonna be part of that faction.
What do you think,
Looks
Mythic?
like-
I think
She's
riots
so
are coming. I think
full-on
Bleeder's
riots
gonna
are
win
coming?
in the end. I think Bleeder's gonna win in the end of this book. And the third book is gonna be all about how they're trying to like fix the mistakes Bleeder created, pretty much.
Mm.
I'm gonna throw the fuck up if he ends up working with his uncle.
Oh my
Let's see.
gosh.
No, the end of this book, Renette and Dwayne are gonna kiss each other and
Dwayne.
confess their undying love. I know that's true because there's no way, but
I
That's
feel like they're gonna
obviously a fourth book finale, Mythic.
yeah, exactly. Wait, how many books are in this series?
There's 4.
Oh, okay.
die.
We're
Renette
finishing
dies in
second.
the fourth book.
Do you think
Wait.
Bleeder... Huh?
What if Renette does die in the fourth book, and then it's just Wayne like being the hero of ages? It repeats itself. Don't say that. Don't say
Maybe.
that.
Maybe.
I don't like that.
Do you think that Bleeder will be caught or killed by the end of the book? Or do you think she's gonna be free?
No, hopefully she's okay. I worry about her a lot. She doesn't seem to be like taking care of herself well.
She's definitely not taking care of herself. Sorry, what did you say, Mythic?
No, I don't think she's gonna get caught.
Do you think the governor will be killed by the end of the book?
Yes.
No, I don't think that's the actual. I don't think that's Bleeder's actual end goal.
You think that was like a fake out to make Wax kind of...
Red hair.
You know what?
Maybe Wax split
Maybe
his
it's not even
focus.
gonna be. Maybe it's not even gonna be Bleeder that kills him. Maybe it's gonna be the people. Because I'm hoping. Because that'd be awesome.
And then do you have any other theories for the end of the book besides Wayne and Renette getting together?
Verna dies, but
This
not in
book?
this book.
I was saying this book. Any other theories for the end of this book?
So I'm gonna give my actual theory
Okay.
of what I think is the end of this. Like, is going to be the end of this book, right?
Okay.
I think they are going. Bleeder is going to create chaos in the city enough that like they have to like they start like rioting and destroying things that going crazy. Like the citizens start going crazy. Wayne, no, yeah, I don't know. Wayne or Wax, either way, is going to somehow subdue her, but not kill her. So not hit her with the injection,
Yeah.
or not. Yeah, sorry. Hit her with the injection, but not like kill her, right? So like,
Yeah, because the injection was specifically not to kill her.
Mhm.
The acid would kill her.
yeah, and then it's going to lead into the next book, which is going to be about like the trial or whatever that they have in the homeland, and she's going to show that the reason that she did this was for a bigger end goal, and there's a bigger villain out there. Boom. End
Well,
of
Miles at the end of the first book kind of foreshadowed like a entity called Trell. So yeah, is that all then?
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like in the end of this book is wow, Harmony's going to be the bad guy. Like they're going to see Harmony as a bad guy.
I see.
Something that Bleeder says or something.
Well, Bleeder already says that she doesn't trust Harmony.
Yeah.
And that like
Yeah, but I'm saying like
he's
they're
like
gonna
puppeteering
Bleeder's
everyone.
gonna, yeah, Bleeder's gonna convince Wax, Wayne, and
Mm.
everybody. That like of why Harmony isn't a good person.
All right. So next episode is going to be our final episode of Shadows of Self. It'll be chapter 19 through to the epilogue. And we'll obviously also be doing our Bands of Mourning preview, which is the third book. So look forward to that. Thank you to our Patreons, Hubris, Calvin Dies in Book 3, and Kyle for being our Patreons. We appreciate you guys so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye!
I
Like,